Okay, we finally got the last episode of Peacemaker, and a lot happened in this episode, so we're gonna talk about the good and the bad. Warning, there will be spoilers, so if you don't want to get spoiled, click off the video and come back later. And this episode was over an hour long, so there's a lot to talk about. So this episode starts with the flashback of what actually happened on the boat. And we had a sweet moment with Chris and Hardcore, where they finally, go on a date, and they finally, kiss. And it was a sweet moment, but we finally get to realize, what Chris was talking about this whole time during this whole season. Did this moment actually mean anything to Hardcore? And then we come back to the present where we see Argus exploring the different dimensions. And there was a lot of different dimensions here. There was a zombie universe. There was a Candyland universe with these monstrous creatures that ended up killing one of our boys. Not him, but someone in his crew, you know what I mean? And then while this whole montage is going on, more and more of his crew is dying. And you can see that Flurry is getting mad. And you can see that Rick Flag is just further getting consumed with revenge. He doesn't even care. The lines between good and bad are blurred now for him. And we also start seeing more of Lex's crew work with Rick Flag. And then there's this part where he goes to the Secretary of Defense and starts talking about basically spitting back Lex's plan, to get rid of metahumans and put them in this prison. And his solution is salvation. This planet that they find in one of the doors that's completely livable like ours. But after that meeting, Sasha does not like that plan, considering that she's one of the metahumans. She decides to meet up with Hardcore and tell her that something wrong is going on. And she tells her everything that Rick Flag is planning. And then Ads goes to Adrian to get some money, finally convince him to use his blood money to, get a lawyer for Chris to break him out of jail. And then the crew eventually find out where Chris is. They stop him from leaving. And they have this deep, heartfelt talk that honestly is one of the most emotional parts of the whole season. And then one of the best parts in acting. And Adebayo, she eats the scene up, bro. She carries the scene. She should honestly win an Emmy for this scene alone. And this wasn't even her only emotional part in the episode. Earlier in the episode, she talks to her ex-girlfriend and finally lets her go. Finally says goodbye. And it's such an emotional scene too. She actually carried this episode. And then after this, they start leaving. But then Chris catches up to Hardcore and asks her once again, did it mean anything? Did what they had on the boat, the kiss they had, mean anything? And she finally tells them that, no shit, it meant something, obviously. It meant everything to her, actually. And Chris's goofy ass finally starts celebrating. We get the intro music start playing again, and we get this whole montage where they use Adrian's blood money to good use. They open up this organization, and they recruited Judo Master, Sasha Bordeaux, and Flurry to their crew. That is Checkmate. It is no longer the 11th Street Kids anymore. It is Checkmate. And this is an organization in the comics that is similar to Argus, but way better. Obviously, they're actually doing good for the people. And we think this episode is going to end with this heartfelt moment, after all that turmoil. But no, Rick Flag and his goons end up kidnapping Peacemaker, bringing him to the base where the door is, and they throw him into Salvation, the planet where nothing is there. And they throw him in there and close the door.